Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Origami Hoops and Sports podcast. My name is Dribble the Swordsman, and I will be your host. So, we're going to have a fun show today. We're going to talk a little bit about Stephen Curry, and then we're going to talk about games 3 and 4 and 5 for these particular series that have actually ended. Spoiler alert, the Warriors just advanced to the NBA Finals. The 6th finals appearance in 8 seasons. Shout out to them. We're going to talk about Stephen Curry again a little bit. And we're also going to talk about Hunter x Hunter a little bit too, because there's been some news that apparently has come out. So I think we're going to have a fun show today. I'm interested to see how it goes. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, let's start off with Stephen Curry briefly. So, Stephen Curry, I talked about him a lot in the last episode. I feel like I have identified him as Joy Boy. I think he is Joy Boy from One Piece, and I made a mistake. I accidentally called the fruit the Nika Nika no Mi. That's actually incorrect. I was just really excited. I know what the fruit is called. It's the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. So excuse me for that error there. Also, just a little bit more credence to what I was talking about. One quote from the One Piece manga says, Joy Boy, the warrior of liberation. All right, so the warrior of liberation is what Joy Boy is. Stephen Curry plays for the Golden State Warriors, and double entendre, he liberated the Warriors from their losing woes, and he brought smiles to that organization. All right, that's a third point. So, all right, you know what? I'm just going to leave it right there for now. Let me know what y'all feel about that. Now, let's go ahead and get into the game analysis for the Eastern Conference and Western Conference. I'm going to start in the East because, honestly, that is kind of up and down. I mean, that series, there's so many blowouts in that series. A lot of people have been talking about that. You know what? It reminds me of an older Boston series when they went up against the Atlanta Hawks. Several years ago, there was a series in the playoffs. I think it was like Rondo's last year with Boston. I'm not exactly sure. It was near the end of him not being in Boston anymore. But you know what? Those games, you would have thought like, okay, Atlanta does not deserve to be in the playoffs, right? They would go to Boston, just get blown out. And then when Boston would go to Atlanta, the exact opposite would happen. You would be like, yo, why is Boston in the playoffs? Atlanta would blow them out at home. So it was just like a completely amazingly tilted shift every game almost. Like it was amazing. Well, every couple of games. It was really wild. Like it was something to behold. But, you know, Boston ended up winning and advancing, and the Hawks did not. But you know what? Maybe the same thing will happen again with this Miami series. We'll have to wait and see. But as far as the breakdown is concerned, you know, what I'm seeing is the Heat need more people to kind of score. They need more people to be productive. And the sad thing is they don't have maybe the players to be able to do that. The player that could do that is a person named Bam Adebayo. Another person could be Kyle Lowry, but he's coming off of an injury. It could be a little bit worse than they lead us to believe. And you know what? Sometimes you kind of have to do that. You have to kind of like, you know, not tell everybody everything because, you know, they can use that and exploit that. As far as, you know, maybe trying to attack you more on defense, like, oh, his legs messed up, let's attack him on defense. He can't get to, you know, through the pick and all these different things. You know, sometimes those go through the mind. Like when players know that you're injured, they may attack you as far as like, you know, trying to get an advantage on you because you may be limited in your mobility and your strength, different things of that nature, right? So it could be a case of that. We'll have to kind of see. We'll have to kind of monitor it. But I kind of want to talk about Jimmy Butler, a.k.a. Hemi Butler. If you don't know what that's about, check out the previous episode. I'll touch on it briefly. Jimmy has a good motor, and Hemi engine is a pretty good motor, a pretty good engine. And, you know, I got it from, shout out to her again, Joy D'Angela on Twitter, who is an NBA personality. And she made this tweet talking about Hemi, Himmy, and talking about how Jimmy is him because he had a really good game and, things of that nature. So it all kind of became a culmination of that. It's more explained in the previous episode. Go check that out. But look, the fact of the matter is Jimmy Butler, he got injured, and here's what happened. All right. So now this is according to Big Mom's Intelligence Network. Okay. So take it as you will. Sometimes that can be a little iffy, but you know what? This is a source that I got. All right. I got the source. All right. Here we go. So Hemi, right, after that first game, they had to, after that game that he went off on, right? I think that was game 2. After that, he had an oil change, okay? But the mechanic put the wrong oil in. He put the wrong weight of oil in, and it caused him to overheat, all right? So when he overheated, his knee got messed up, and that's why he had to go out of the game, okay? So they were trying to work on him. They were trying to get him back right. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, they had to end up actually doing a full system, fuel system cleaning, bro. They had to do that and put the right oil back in there. You know what I'm saying? But damage had already been done. So now you see him not being able to get to that peak horsepower that he's been, able to do before. So right now they're going to be trying to install a turbo or a supercharger. They're trying to decide which one. Let me know which one you guys would pick. The turbo or the supercharger, all right? But depending on, what route they go with that, it could depend on how Jimmy Butler performs. So this is very important. So we're going to have to see how Jimmy Butler can come back from this injury and if he can continue to be productive. In the last game that I saw, that I recall, he did not shoot very well. He wasn't very efficient and whatnot. So we got to get that efficiency up a little bit. I know it can be difficult when, you're being keyed in on because you're one of the main scorers on the team, but, a person like Bam Adebayo could potentially help him out. We've seen Bam have some good games. We've seen him have some bad games. There's kind of a running joke I have with somebody on Twitter about Bam being gillied up and you can't really see him. And it kind of stems from one time we were in these Twitter spaces, right? And let me just say one thing too. I've retired from Call of Duty. I'm trying to stay away from the shooting games and stuff like that, the violence and stuff like that. So, that being said, let's continue the story. Now, I remember in Call of Duty 4, that's the first Modern Warfare. For those of you that don't know, there was a mission called All Gillied Up, where you use a Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle at this pivotal point of the mission. And, you had to, kind of work your way there and whatnot. You had a ghillie suit on, which is something that snipers use to camouflage themselves in different environments. So you cannot see them from a distance or even up close sometimes, That being said, there was somebody in the Twitter spaces that had the name Barrett 50 cal, and that's how the conversation kind of, they started talking. Somebody said Barrett 50 cal or something, and then somebody else said Bam Adebayo, and then I just said hey, wait, are you trying to say that Bam Adebayo has a ghillie suit on, and that's why we cannot see him out there? And that went out pretty well, just pat myself on the back with that. Okay. But, the thing was, that became a running joke now. So it's kind of okay, when Bam, he likes to play dress up sometimes. Sometimes he likes to put the ghillie suit on, and we can't really see him out there. We can't really see him impacting the game that much. But no, he takes that ghillie suit off, when he starts to feel more comfortable and stuff. Then we really see, this guy's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's scoring and impacting the game and helping his team win. But you know what? I think this is kind of a two different things could be going on here. All right. So actually 3 different things. It could be a confidence issue with himself. Maybe he cannot motivate himself to be confident and to, go against that pressure, go against that defender and things of that nature. It could be that he doesn't have people around him, his teammates that believe in him and trust in him and feel like he can, do different things and instill confidence in him. It could be the coaching staff also not instilling confidence in him. The whole thing I'm thinking is confidence. If you look at Kevon Looney, this guy is playing with a lot of confidence. You can tell that team is instilling confidence in him, right? They giving him the ball. They're letting him do different things. I've seen Kevon Looney, he got the ball, went body to body with somebody, went up with the ball and scored. I said, wow, okay. Kevon Looney is really playing. He's trying to be that guy down there a little bit. So And we see Bam Adebayo do the same thing, but it's just, it can be very inconsistent apparently. So that's something that we have to always understand. Confidence with anything in life is a very key thing. I mean, if you don't have confidence, you may not perform that well. That's just facts, And the thing is, sometimes we don't have somebody in our corner that is somebody, telling us and behind us and pushing us and motivating us and whatnot, in our lives. We all live different lives. And so that being said, sometimes you have to push yourself, and that can be very difficult. So, it just depends. It can be done, but honestly, it's a lot easier when you have somebody else that can push you and be on your side and things like that. It's a mental thing. It's something that can be overcome in time. But you know what? I'm going to be looking forward to see how Bam Adebayo responds. I think he can do it. It's just, we have to see. The other role players have to step up as well a bit. PJ Tucker has to continue being PJ Tucker out there, with the corner threes and stuff like that. I honestly would like to see PJ Tucker be able to hit like a straight on three and expand his game a little bit. I think that would be really cool. And I think that would help the Heat be able to be a bit more dynamic on offense too, because now you don't have to run like hammer plays all the time, trying to get the corner shot open. And I know the corner shot is, the quote unquote easiest shot to make because it's shorter, but you know what? Honestly, it depends on the person. Me, honestly, right? Not to toot my own horn, I think I'm a pretty good shooter in real life. So I can make threes and, all kinds of shots. But on the sides, on those corners, it's hard for me to make them because it's a depth perception thing. Apparently, it's like there's nothing behind the rim to help me aim, I guess. I don't know it, but I can shoot any other shots like wing, middle, anything like that is fine. I can do that I can do that consistently, but the side, oh my goodness. Oh man. The corners, it is something that can be very difficult, even though it is shorter. It's a depth perception thing apparently. But anyway, that being said, I would like to see him expand that out to like, even if he can, the middle or even the wings, because that would really open up, the offense for different types of kickouts, different kind of angles of kickouts and different plays that they can run and whatnot, different kind of spacing, so that'd be kind of cool to see. I don't know if it'll happen in this playoffs, but maybe as, he matriculates through his career and, if he stays with Miami and stuff, maybe they can incorporate that and, be a little bit better. Tyler Herro's no longer playing right now. I think he's got an injury or something like that. And so that can affect them too. But he wasn't really playing that well in this series anyway. So you may not really be missing his production. You got Strus, who has had some good games. Duncan Robinson is getting some minutes now. I really want to see Duncan Robinson play well, honestly. Like I think he's a pretty cool guy from what I've seen. I would like to see him be successful, and score some points and stuff. Seems like he's having a hard time shooting. But one thing I did notice is that in some of these games, it doesn't look like they are trying to screen for him to get him open shot. Like, for example, all right, I was going to bring up Golden State because, they have the system, the super system, right? They have a lot of screens and different actions that go on to help get their shooters open. But let's go back. Let's go back to the Hawks again, all right? So when the Hawks had literally one elite three-point shooter on their team, Kyle Korver, first of all, that year, Kyle Korver, I think he was an all-star that year, and they had 4 all-stars. But with that, right, this one legitimate three-point shooter, right? The other people can hit sometimes, but he was like their most consistent. He was like their Stephen Curry, basically. You know what I'm saying? As far as shooting, catching, and shooting the ball. So that being said, or maybe if you want to say Klay Thompson. All right, fine, whatever. All right, so that being said, if you have a person screening for you like they were with Kyle Korver, man, Kyle Korver come off those screens, boo, 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 catch and shoot, whack. Like they were looking to get him to produce from the three. And you kind of don't see that with It's like Duncan has to try and get open by himself. He's kind of looking like me out there a little bit because when I play basketball in real life on pickup and stuff, people never want to screen for me. I like to screen for other people, but people never want to screen for me. So if I ever get a screen for myself, I'd be like so happy. I'm like, wow, somebody screened for me. That is so awesome. I never see this. Anyway, let me stop talking about myself. So that being said, I think he needs a little bit more help from his team. Maybe like, the coaching staff can draw up some different plays and stuff to try and get him activated, try and get him, some easier 3-point shot looks and whatnot so he can feel more comfortable and whatnot. You got to give some credit to, Boston Celtics defense as well. Maybe they could be doing things to kind of break up those particular actions and stuff that they may be even trying to get started. But, that we'll see how it goes. Also, shout out to Matt Strus. I believe his name is Matt. Last name is Strus for sure. I think he has the best looking shooting form in the NBA right now. So I'm just putting that out there. Let me know how y'all feel about that. Let's go to Boston. So Boston, they've had some inconsistencies as well from some of their players like Tatum, scoring a lot, then not scoring a lot sometimes. I'm thinking that you have to kind of go to Tatum early, really help him to get that aggressive mindset going, because when he's going to the free throw line, when he's attacking and being aggressive, you see him really, be able to produce and score, the points that is needed for them to be able to have a chance at winning. And with Jaylen Brown, I think he has the ability to kind of pick that up later in the game. So if I was going to pick on who to kind of start off with my attack, if I was Boston, I would kind of like almost force feed, Tatum, and then go to Brown as needed and whatnot, later throughout the game and stuff like that. Of course, the other role players and stuff have to play well, like Pritchard, Williams. He has to continue to play well. Those guys, they have to continue. Marcus Smart, he had that ankle injury. Let me speak on that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I've had some ankle injuries myself. I've rolled my ankle in a similar fashion. Nobody really fell on my ankle like that. But, I think if we played basketball before enough, you've jumped up and then came down and rolled your ankle before. I think pretty much, I'll put a number to it. Probably 90% of the people that play basketball have experienced that, okay? And I would say that anytime I have personally, now let me just say this, let me preface this, all right? If you guys don't know, I'm 6'3", right now I'm 220 pounds, you know what I'm saying? Want to lose a little weight, I want to get down to 200 again, but you know what? Around those times when I was playing and stuff, I was probably like, between 190 to 200 to 210 and stuff like that, right? So I've been pretty relatively heavyweight my whole life, so and relatively taller than everybody just my age and stuff my whole life. So that being said, I have rolled my ankle many, many times, and I've always been able to just continue playing, after doing that. However, there is a certain kind of way you can, quote unquote, roll your ankle or mess your ankle up that did mess me up. Now, that is when, in my opinion, this is how I kind of describe it. It's like you kind of take a step and your ankle kind of slides from under you. Like it doesn't like curl or like, flip to the side, so to speak, to where maybe let's say your right foot is gonna be the sole of your foot, instead of it being flat on the ground, it ends up being like toward your left. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, whoa, what's going on there, right? And but if you somehow, that's one thing. That's the one that I feel like you can recover from relatively easily. But if it happens where like you're kind of like walking in like and somehow like your heel or something kind of slides from under you and you mess your ankle up like that, and that happened to me before, and I was messed up for a long time with that. Okay, I had to try to work through that and all that kind of stuff. Let me start talking about stuff. Y'all don't want to hear that. All right, so let me get back to the game. So that being said, I want to see Boston, just continue to be aggressive. They have to be aggressive. It's funny, like there was a quarter where Miami, this was a pretty, like it was like a blowout kind of game, because we've seen a lot of blowouts in this game. But 1 point pretty much in the whole first quarter, like that was pretty like interesting to see. That kind of reminded me of something I would see on 2K. But let's move on to the West. All right, so in the West, we had, of course, the third coast versus the West Coast. Golden State versus the Dallas Mavericks. So Golden State went ahead and won their game last night, and they have advanced to the NBA Finals. What does that mean? 6 finals in 8 years. A lot of people are hype about that, and at least in the Warriors community that I've seen. And you know what? Shout out to them. People counted them out. They said, at least people in the media and stuff, they talked about them not being able to do it. There was actually, I saw this thing on Twitter where it was a 10% chance that they would make the finals. That was some predictions and stuff like that they were doing early on in the season. But hey, that 10%, it happened. All right. And now they're in the finals again. And you know what? Honestly, if you were really looking at basketball and whatnot, you kind of could have seen this coming. I mean, I saw it coming. I felt like last year, if they would have had Clay back, they could have made like a sneaky little run to try and, win another championship. It's just, they had a depleted team to a certain extent, But, even with that helped them this year because it helped them develop some of their younger players. It had them be able to have a chance to get more minutes, extended minutes and things of that nature, to really learn their system more, to really get more comfortable playing in the NBA and things of that nature. So, it's good and bad, some of these things, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to lose now to win later. And that's what could be happening with the Warriors. But honestly, if you look at the team, right, you pretty much had the same core, Draymond and Steph. Klay was missing, all right? So it's like you would think, okay, if you put Klay back out there, they're probably going to start winning again. Klay was injured, he got hurt, then he got hurt again, so he was out for almost 2 seasons. So that being said, their team did change around them a while, but you still had those core players that played very well with each other, and you had complementary pieces and you had complementary players that could also do their thing and play their role and whatnot. So I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, if they get Klay back, then they'll probably be back to where they were, trying to get, deep runs in the playoffs and winning championships again. The system is only getting better because of how long they've been playing with each other. So, now, that's the thing too. Like, Draymond Green has talked about this before, like getting the new guys to kind of buy in and to kind of understand the system or whatnot. You see the growing pains of that sometimes. You get some new players and whatnot. So, I saw this coming. I thought that they could definitely make it again. I feel like sometimes people, maybe they don't want to see it. They want to deny it, or maybe they're delusional. I don't know. Whatever it is, like, if you really looked at it, they were basically missing Klay, and then you insert Klay, and now they're back to winning. And, they were actually winning even before Klay, but that's because of, these players playing in the previous season and getting better and stuff in Klay's absence. So it all culminated into, them having a pretty good team right now. They have Jordan Poole has emerged. You know what I'm saying? You got Moody that's playing well. You know what I mean? You have David Lee that can sometimes do things. And, Kevon Looney is playing very well right now. And I want to see more of Juan Toscano. I think that he can do it. I've seen him do it. I want to see, a little bit more. I want to see him play more. So they have different, options to go to. Now, with the Mavericks, though, this definitely was not a pushover team for the Warriors. And I feel like people in the NBA community, at least from what I've saw, they were kind of counting the Mavericks out. And I'm looking at these games like, why are you counting them out? Because honestly, they could have won game 2. They definitely could have won game 3, and they won game 4. So obviously they were doing something, and they found something that was working for them to put them in great positions to be able to win those games. So in game 2, you could kind of blame some of those role players. They didn't hit those shots, okay? They went like, I don't know if it was game 3. I don't know if it was game 3 or 2. I can't remember. But like one of those games, like they went like, I think it was game 2. They went like 0-14. There was a couple of dudes that, they if they would have made this like, a small percentage of those shots, like 25% to 33% of those shots, we're talking about a completely different game. And the Mavs could have definitely won that. Same thing with game 3. If they would have, I think somebody made a pretty good point. I think I saw Shannon Sharp talk about this on Twitter. He talked about the Mavericks were in the bonus, right, with like 5 or so minutes to go in the fourth quarter, but they were shooting threes. At that point, ideally you would attack the basket, try and get those whistles, try and get those free throws to extend your lead and make it insurmountable, make it a lead that you cannot come back from and win. But you saw the Warriors came back and they won. And if you want to see what I thought about that, you can check the next episode. But shout out to Jordan Poole and that bench unit for helping to get that lead and get that cushion. And then Stephen Curry and them came in with the night, and he put them to bed, and they were able to win that game. But you see in game 4, they were able to win. They pretty much employed the same strategy as game 3. In fact, maybe they listened to my podcast, because in the previous episode, I talked about what they can do to win, and they pretty much were doing that, attacking the basket, putting pressure on those guys and getting them in foul trouble. That is how you can beat the Warriors. That's one way. All right. Another way is you can play big and actually use your big men. That's another way you can do it. but some players and some are not on certain teams to be able to help them do that, because some people have moved away from these big men that can actually do stuff around the basket, on their own and whatnot. So you're kind of at a loss personnel wise for how you can actually do that attack. But you kind of saw it with Denver, right? Boogie Cousins and Jokic, they were doing stuff, you know what I'm saying? So that's something that you have to always consider, man. Like, you have to kind of not get so wrapped up in what everybody else is doing and trying to copy them, because that's what the NBA is kind of doing. They're trying to copy the Warriors style. And I told you, man, hey, the Warriors finessed them, because that's not even how you beat the Warriors. You don't play their game to beat them. You play a different game. You slow that pace down. You start to driving and getting foul calls and getting them in foul trouble. And you play big and you beat them on the rebounding and things of that nature. And it's really interesting too. That group that they put out there, even though they're undersized, they were beating the Mavericks in rebounds. I think they even won the Grizzly series in rebounds too. So that's really interesting. So you have to see. That's the thing too. Sometimes you cannot copy a team because you just don't have the personnel. Like, they have apparently very talented players that can rebound the basketball even at a small size. And, a lot of that can be because they're boxing out and using, proper technique with that. And it's like, even if you box out somebody and you can't get the rebound, the fact that you're boxing them out can mean your teammate can get it. And it's kind of like an assist rebound. Matter of fact, maybe that could be a thing, but that may be too hard to track. Never mind. All right. So, that being said, shout out to them. They did advance. But I think the Mavericks, I think that they could potentially be back there again. Maybe there could be a rematch next year. You know what I'm saying? Luka is a very, very good player. I mean, wow. And I think I have a nickname for him. Let me know how y'all feel about this. Mr. Freeze Frame. Because when I see him play, matter of fact, here I go again. All right, so there's two things I saw in this playoffs that I said, whoa, that's some stuff I used to do when I was younger. Like, when I was younger, right, I used to drive to the basket sometimes, and I hit my 1-2, and I would just balance on one leg, right? Because now I travel until you put that other leg down and touch the floor or whatever, right? So I would do that sometimes, and I would just kind of wait and see what I want to do. I might shoot it or I might pass it, but I would just kind of freeze and hold my balance right there and kind of see what I want to do. And I see that with Luka. It's so interesting. He'll drive to the lane, he'll hit his 1-2, and he'll just kind of freeze. He'll stop there. And sometimes he'll pro hop or whatever. He'll just stop there. Right. And it's like, okay, he'll pump fake you. And I saw this dude, he is. And again, I said this on Twitter. I think that he is the best feinter in the NBA. He is so good at feinting, which means acting like you're going to attack, but not really attacking. Okay, that's pretty much what that means. So I think he's one of the best in the NBA, if not the best right now. Because this man went in the lane and he pump fake 5 times and then shot the ball. I'm like, dude, what is? I don't know. I haven't seen some stuff like that in a minute. I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched enough basketball. I don't know. Let me know if you've seen some stuff like that. Because that reminded me of Shaq. And I know it's probably happened even since then. Actually, reminded me of Kobe. I know Kobe did that too, the fainting and stuff. So it was interesting, and these are people that he could have taken that from. Because, when Luka was growing up, he saw these different players and stuff. And, he could mold his game around them and stuff like that, So it is what it is there. But yeah, just the fact that he can slow down, right? He can get his own shot right there by the rim, or he can just, pass it out to different shooters and stuff, and then they can knock down shots. I think that's really cool, man. Mr. Freeze Frame. I don't know. Maybe it can be something else. I was thinking this Mr. Freeze, but that's kind of already taken. I don't know. Well, they used to call Wesley Matthews Iron Man. So, maybe Luka could be Mr. Freeze. And then, in the future, we'll have the Hawks versus the Mavericks in the NBA Finals, and it'll be the battle of the frozen people. And we can also see, who really won that draft, and, those players can kind of prove hey, I was the better pick. Hey, I was the better pick. We'll see. All right, so let's jump really quickly into a little bit of anime. So apparently, Togashi is back. Hunter is apparently back. It seems like he's working on it. Now, whether he's working on how many chapters or how many pages, we don't really know. But he's apparently he has a Twitter. He's been releasing some different pictures and stuff like that. I saw a picture. I saw some crowd, a crowd and stuff. So I actually sent a tweet to him. I said, Heaven's Arena? ? I see a crowd? Could we see a little bit more action with Crollo or something like that, or some of these other floor masters? This could be interesting. Anyway, I don't know where he's going with this. I don't know what could be going on, but Hunter x Hunter is definitely a very interesting series. I think it's one of the, if not the best, one of the best anime that have ever been made as far as the 2011 version. And the fact that it's not even a complete story, that is left off at a certain point because the manga, and stuff, with all the hiatuses and all of that. But that being said, for it to not even be completed and it still can stand with those top tier anime, I think that says a lot. However, it kind of shortchanged it because you look at other anime series that are longer and whatnot, and they kept their integrity throughout the series and were good. That can really show a bit more greatness or being better, so to speak. Because you see that in NBA a lot too. It's like, okay, yes, you're great. You're a great player, but how long can you be great? Is it just a season? Is it just a couple of seasons and you fall off? Or is it a 10-year span where you're doing this? All of that does count. It does count. So, there could be some other anime that you could argue are better than that. But I'm thinking the animation, the story, the music, all of those different things, I think, culminate in Hunter x Hunter 2011 being number one. But let me know how y'all feel about it. But it's going to be exciting. I'm anticipating the next One Piece chapter and whatnot, 1050. So we're going to see, I believe it's 1050. I might be wrong. But that being said, I'm looking at that. I want to see, what happens with that. And with me, I read the official release. So, it's going to take me a little bit to get a reaction, but that's fine. I'm trying to dodge spoilers while I can. It seems like I may have already seen a little bit, but I don't know for sure. But I had a prediction. I told one of my friends, I said, hey, watch, when Kaido is potentially quote unquote defeated, right? We're going to see because notice they landed on land, right? And that same chunk of land could be where Big Mom landed after Law's attack. I could see Oda doing a panel where he shows that hole and Big Mom throwing that hand up there and pulling herself out nah, Straw Hat, what's up? You thought it was over? Here is the final boss. And Straw Hat at that point is just exhausted. Don't know if he can go Gear 5 again. I don't know. We'll see. But also, interestingly enough, I wonder if Big Mom will still be able to be heard when she's introduced. Well, if she's introduced again later in the story, will she have to learn sign language or something? Because if Law applied his awakening to her and silenced her, that jump might be permanent until he removes it. So could we have something like that where Big Mom literally, even though she's talking, you can't hear her? I think that'd be kind of comedic too. It's like you have Big Mom and Luffy interacting and they play that that little silly music, like Big Mom is just talking and she's getting all frantic and antic, and Luffy just huh? I can't hear you. What are you saying? I don't know what you're. No, I think that'd be pretty funny. Anyway, but we'll see how it plays out. Oda did say that he was not going to end the battle with a big punch, and yet there's the big punch, and it seems like the battle might be over, but maybe that's not it. It could be red herring. We'll see. So now, as promised, I said I wanted to talk about Stephen Curry. Here we go. All right. I want to talk about the achievability of Stephen Curry. So I was in a Twitter space the other day and got to talking with some people. Shout out to the host and co-host and whatnot of that particular Twitter space. And shout out to the other people that were in that Twitter space. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to shout out everybody, but shout out Killer Miller. There's CJ, who is actually a podcast host as well, the Unathletic podcast, and you can find him at CJ the Unathletic. And I was also talking to another person by the name of Sierra. You can look them up as well because they were actually the host of the actual Twitter space, and their at is Apple Juice Gang 7. That's the number 7. And just the number. And so that being said, through that particular conversation, a lot of different points were made. And I just want to talk about, as far as, I guess, the media's perception of Stephen Curry and his skills and abilities and stuff like that, and how they kind of show, like, certain players, they be like, yo, this is a person that, like, they cannot be duplicated. Like, nobody can ever be like them, versus somebody like Stephen Curry, where they may say, like, oh, yeah, anybody can do that kind of thing, you know? And I think, first of all, I was going to say, you know, okay, I'm in the mindset that Stephen Curry is an amazing basketball player, right? I'm going to get into some other details of what makes, you know, him athletic as well, even though you may not feel that he is. But I can kind of see what they're saying, but I think it's like understanding that it's just about your perception of things. So, for example, I think it's the body. Like, he's 6'3". He's kind of more of a quote unquote normal person size. You look at these people like, you know, Giannis, LeBron, Jordan, even Kobe, Tracy McGrady, you know, people like that, right? Those guys are really, really tall, right? And then they're big and muscly, they're physically imposing and things of that nature, right? Steph's kind of like a slim build. He's on the, you know, he's 6'3", you know, which is still pretty tall, but it's not that tall to where you would like super duper stand out in society. You know what I'm saying? You still can walk under doors and not have to dip your head down, you know, and things like that. So, you know, it's a little bit different. So that being said, I think that it looks more achievable because of that. And also the fact that, you know, if we're talking about shooting and whatnot, shooting is definitely more achievable than dunking across the masses, because there are many people that can shoot the basketball, but there are not that many people who can dunk. And that just might be because they're literally just too short to do it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, you look at like children shooting basketballs and stuff like that. You have some children that can shoot really, really well and from a distance too. So that being said, they can't dunk because they're way too short, right? But they can shoot the ball. So shooting is a skill, right? Dunking is a skill too. You know, all these things can be refined over time and mastered. So that being said, right, if you show somebody how to shoot the right way and, you know, the proper technique and things of that nature, then, you know, they're going to be making a lot of different shots and they're going to be making them consistently and whatnot. So my thing was that there were comments and things brought out about there will never be another Stephen Curry, you know, and things of that nature, even with other players and whatnot. So I just don't like when that's said, because in sports, always understand this, everybody. There's always somebody bigger, faster, stronger. All right. It's just how it goes. You know, skills inflation. All right. We talked about this on the last episode. Skills inflation, talent inflation over time. You know, when somebody brings something to the forefront, people are going to copy it if they like it, and they're going to improve upon it too, probably. So you have Stephen Curry, who has changed the game. He changed the game of basketball. And because of that, he has pretty much put a new mindset into people that learn how to play basketball. You know, I need to learn how to shoot threes. I need to learn how to dribble. I need to learn how to pass. I need to learn how to play make. I need to learn how to move off the ball. All the different things that Stephen Curry can do at a very, you know, great rate. And that being said, it's just a bit more achievable just on the fact that, you know, as far as the shooting aspect and these other aspects too, because you don't have to be physically imposing or an explosive athlete to be able to do those things necessarily that Stephen Curry does. But you still do have to be an athlete. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit, because even though Stephen Curry is not like a high-flying, explosive athlete like Russell Westbrook, for example, Zach LaVine, for example, you know, people like that, Victor Oladipo even. That being said, you have to understand, Stephen Curry is kind of like a marathon runner, okay? He's got that slim build, you know, but apparently he has a very strong core. He does have a strong body. He has extreme stamina. I think he runs probably the most of anybody in the league. Matter of fact, I think the only person that may have run more than him was CJ McCollum, actually. think I heard a stat about that a few years ago. But yeah, there are some dudes that run a lot in the NBA. So first of all, to be in the NBA, you have to probably be in fantastic shape, because if you're not, you're going to get winded. You're probably going to pass out, because think about it, 24 seconds, right? And most of the time, you're shooting before that. So then you're pew, 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 back on defense, back on offense, back on defense, back on offense. There's that running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, but and exerting that much energy, because you're probably going to have to sprint and run pretty fast, because these guys are fast, right? So that being said, you have to understand that you have to be very athletic, all right? That's a given, okay? Stephen Curry is a different kind of athlete. Like I said, you got to have core strength. Look, if you're going to be shooting those three-point shots at NBA range, even those deep threes, you've got to have a certain amount of core strength, and things of that nature. You're using like your full body sometimes to shoot those shots. You know what I mean? So that being said, I want to reference the Draymond Green show, because he talked about Stephen Curry, and they talked about how they wanted, that is, the franchise wanted him to, be averaging about 15 to, I think, like 17 or something like that, 3-pointers in the games and whatnot, right? And they were even saying like, yo, you might even want to push that to like 20 or 22 per game. And Draymond said, hey, do you understand how those threes can affect the human body? And that's a real thing. I've shot some NBA threes before, and I've made some before too. You know what I'm saying? I've shot some even deeper range threes and stuff too. But the thing about it is, right, you have to use a lot of strength sometimes to do that. Now, the more and more you do those things, your body will adapt, and it will get stronger, and it will become easier. That's with anything, with working out and with skills and stuff, right? But it still takes a toll on you. And it still takes a lot of strength and a lot of skill. So, just because Stephen Curry affects the game in a different way, I don't feel like that should be a hindrance for him. And I think that one thing that differentiates him is basically the shooting, because we've seen people do other things that he does, right? Aside from the shooting, the off ball, the playmaking, all these different things, right? The defense, you want to talk about that, all those different things, but you've missed like the 3-point shooting. If they could 3-point shoot, then you may cannot do it on the move, or they might can't do it, off the dribble, and all these different things, right? The way that he does it, they might can't do it from the super deep three and stuff like that. So that's what makes him different to me from different players of the past. Now, that being said, there's a conversation I think I might get into a little bit more because it's something that we just have to remember. Like, even though it may look like you can do it, honestly, I'm a kind of person like, hey, I'm kind of like a dream believer. I'm like, hey, if you have that dream and it's something that, God would approve of, then hey, by all means, go for it, because anything is possible, man. Like, Stephen Curry was not really highly sought after, right? It's like he said on that commercial, he said from underrated to undeniable. So, he goes to Davidson, he has some good years there. He gets drafted to the NBA. He has, these injuries, and then he, gets past that and he becomes a good player. Then he becomes a great player. Now he's like, people talk about he's one of the greatest of all time. So looking back at that, right, it's like nobody really wanted him and stuff like that, and now he's potentially one of the greatest of all time. Like, that's a big jump. So that's all off of a dream, bro. Like, so if you dream it, you can achieve it. I'm with that. So I never want to really say like, hey, there's never going to be another person like that. If you want to be like Stephen Curry as far as his skills and stuff on the court, you can do it. You have to practice very hard. You have to really get your skill set and your mindset, though, locked in with that. And you have to do the proper techniques and whatnot associated with that to really make it there. But you know what? You could do it. And you could do the same thing, too, with these other great players, right? The only thing that's holding a person back potentially could be their body. So if you don't have the body of, let's say, Michael Jordan, where you had that 40-inch vertical, right? Michael Jordan's athleticism helped him out a lot. Athleticism in basketball helps you out a lot. But there are some people that have athleticism, but they don't have skill. And the opposite of that, too. Some of them have a lot of skill, but not as much athleticism. So, there's a fine balance there. So, one thing about it is, you can, to me at least, I'm feeling like you can always use your skills and get better at a skill athletically. You may only be able to get so far because that is like your body's limitations. Like we all have, a muscle makeup and, all these different things. So, some people muscles may be able to develop better than others. They may have more fast twitch and all these different things, like all these different things play a factor in how a person can move and perform. So that being said, you have to understand that this conversation is one that I don't want it to take away from these like that's something I think I want to be on now. Now shout out to CJ again at the Unathletic. He said something in that Twitter space I think that was pretty cool. I never heard it before. He said comparisons kill joy. He said comparisons kill joy. So that got me to thinking. I'm like, wow, you know what? It kind of does. And it's like, why do we have to feel like we always have to put somebody else down to, push somebody else up? Why cannot they be, both good, just in their own different categories, And that's what I think too. You have people saying that, oh, LeBron better than Steph, Steph better than LeBron. Oh, LeBron is better than this guy, LeBron better than this guy. Oh, Steph is better than this guy, Steph is better. Oh, Kobe's better than this guy, he's better than that guy. These kind of things, right? Making these kind of comparisons and things like that. But it's like, okay, honestly, if you really want to look at it, some of these things you cannot really compare. So let's get into it. So check this out. Let's talk about like Stephen Curry versus like these other all-time greats and stuff like that, right? Those other all-time greats might not necessarily have played in the system like he does. So their numbers could be inflated more than his are, because I think the interview, and it really got me, because, sometimes you listen to these different people talking and you listen to these different narratives and you listen to all these different things, right? And, I think that Stephen Curry said it best on his interview with Inside the NBA right after Game 5 when they advanced to the NBA Finals. He was up there with Draymond Green and, Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson,
Because of the way that we play. It's not just one guy dominating the ball. Everybody's going to be a part of this on both ends of the floor.
He said the way their system is, it's not just about one player, It's really a team concept. You know what I'm saying? So basically, it's like, okay, hey, I don't have it going tonight. Hey, you go ahead and get 20 or 30. You know what I'm saying? I'll help out when I can. I'm having an off night. Hey, I'm not having a good night tonight. Hey, can you might have to pick up the slack for me. Okay, bro, I got you. You know what? And you know what, man? There's nothing wrong with that. See, I think society and other like people and stuff, they want to reward selfishness. Now, yes, sometimes you do have to be selfish in life, but you know what? Being overly selfish can be very, very bad, because when you're overly selfish and it's only about you, there's no telling what you may do to another person. So you have to be very careful with that. Being unselfish is a good thing. And a lot of time people are drawn to people that are unselfish because usually they're pretty friendly. So that being said, and they're very considerate usually too of other people and other people's feelings and things of that nature. So when you have a person like Stephen Curry who has shown to be selfless, I mean, the dude came off of the bench and he's one of the greatest of all time. You have like these different things, like he has people come in, like Kevin Durant, right? And he just kind of like, hey bro, like do what you want to do. Like it don't have to be all about me. You know what I'm saying? You got the shot, take it. Like that's being a good team. Like that's what it is right there. People are bashing being a good teammate. Stephen Curry is a great teammate. He's a person you would want to play with. He'll let you get yours, and he can also get his. Like, it's nice to play with somebody like that, and you're not going to have to maybe even deal with the drama after the fact. Like, that is a person that you probably want to play with a lot. So, I mean, sometimes you might play with different players, and instead of them asking about your performance, they ask you about, hey, how does it feel to play next to this player? And it's like, okay, can we talk about the 40 points I just scored? Like, why are we bringing up this guy? That's what it comes down to. It's a bashing of being selfless. Let's look at Jordan. So back in the day, Jordan was a bit more selfish, right? And he wasn't winning. When he started to utilize his teammates more and became a bit more selfless, then he started to win. But people don't talk about that. So comparing these different players, you have to take all those things into consideration. What kind of offensive system are they? Now, we're just talking about offense because usually that's where the eyes are. So what kind of system are they in? Are they in a system where they always have the ball in their hands and they create literally everything and every action for their team? Are they in a system where they can come off a screen sometimes and then they can get the ball sometimes and run different actions and things of that nature? Are they in a hybrid system, like where they're posting up more, or, they're attracting double teams and things of that nature? Like, they have to pass the ball sometimes to open teammates, making the right basketball play. And that's why their numbers are a little bit lower. Like, it all depends how the defense is playing you and stuff like that. Because honestly, it's like, look, if you're being double teamed, right, the smart thing to do would be to pass the ball to the open man so that your team has a better shot of getting an open shot and winning the game, because ultimately an open shot is going to be easier than a contested one, especially over two people. But it's like people want to see, he's not scoring over 3 defenders, so this player is not good. Like, no, like if you pass the ball in that situation, that's fine. You're supposed to do that. It's an intelligent basketball player with a good IQ on the court. You're supposed to do that. Find an open man. Why make it harder for yourself? It's like people want it to be hard. Like, but it's like, look, if you can dissect the defense like that, bro, why not make it easier on yourself? Hey, we're going to get this dub, we're going to get this win, and we're going to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, but then at the same time, it's like, I can get my personal accolades and we're going to get losses. But that's what the thing is, right? I think it comes down to that too. People get upset that other people are winning. So they're like, nah, we want to make it so you stop winning. I've encountered this myself. Like, I play different games and stuff, right? Let's say 2K, Monopoly, things like that on the PlayStation, right? And sometimes the way that you play and stuff, and you might be beating your opponent and they get upset and they're like, yo, man, why you keep doing that? Why you keep driving to the basket? Why you keep shooting those threes? Why you keep doing this? Like, because your defense is allowing me to do so. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I stop doing what is helping me win? Why don't you try to stop what I'm doing and try to win that way? Why do I need to stop winning for you to be able to win? Why can you not elevate yourself and try to surpass me? But you know what? There I go again talking about myself. Let me get back to what I was saying. So hopefully this is making some kind of sense. I honestly feel like I'm kind of all over the place right now. But I'm hoping that I made some coherent points to you. To kind of get you to consider a little bit more about these comparisons. Because really, some of these comparisons are not apples to apples at all. And so sometimes these players, like, honestly, I'm just going to put it out there. You cannot even compare LeBron and Stephen Curry together. You cannot even compare, like, Curry and Kobe together necessarily, okay? Because they were just different players, different systems, different philosophies. It's just not fair comparison sometimes. So I think that's like, sometimes like when we get into these like, oh, are they top 5? Are they top 10 all time and stuff like that? It's so hard to make those lists because it's like, okay, where do you rank the big men as opposed to the small guys and stuff like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Kareem has like a whole bunch of points, but it's like he couldn't really shoot threes and stuff like that. He couldn't really, do you put that over like the overall skill, like it's so hard to make that list. That's why I think like for us to be more accurate in our analysis, we should like categorize these things. Like who's the best off-ball player? Who's the best on-ball player? Who's the best screener? Who's the best defender? Who's the best big man? Who's the best small man? Like those things, I think if we make those kind of categories as far as doing the top 5 and stuff, that's where it becomes more accurate. But when you try to combine all that stuff together, I think honestly, after thinking about it more, it just becomes too complex, I think, to be super accurate. And if you were going to do it, you would need to have a clear-cut rubric as to how you were grading things, because that would make it more objective and not subjective. And honestly, I think that's what we need. We need to have a rubric so we can actually properly gauge and scale these players to each other. Because if we don't have that, then all of these things are going to be flawed. So it is what it is. Like, I feel like, I hope that I expressed that so you guys can understand it. I wish that Twitter space was recorded. It's like some of the best conversations it seems like I've had in life have not been recorded. And you know what? That's cool. Like, I mean, hey, you save those in your memory banks and you just keep it moving. But it would have been nice if that was recorded. We had a great conversation. Yeah, but as far as like this kind of going back to the skills and whatnot, being able to obtain the skills that Stephen Curry has, in my opinion, is easier than being able to obtain the skills that, let's say, like Michael Jordan has, or Kobe, or somebody like that, or LeBron and stuff like that, because you don't need the physical, athletic, explosive body and height to do the things that Stephen Curry does. But you do need them to do what Michael, Kobe, and LeBron do. So it's about the body, I feel like, at the end of the day, but not trying to discredit any players or anybody's greatness or anything like that. On the basketball court and stuff like that, these people are great in all their own ways. You know what I'm saying? No matter how the media portrays them, no matter how like other people portray them, they're all great in their own particular ways. And, we can appreciate them like that. I'm kind of with that now, like just bashing others and pushing them down and trying to throw shade on one player just to lift another player up. Like, maybe we can just have peace and just be like, okay, let's compare apples to apples actually, and let's actually break down what we're comparing, because it's not fair to compare honestly a person that may be off ball more to a person that's on ball more, because inherently you're going to have to score more points if you had the ball in your hand all the time. Like, inherently, you're going to have more assists. Like, that's just a given. So, it is what it is. I think we're getting to the tail end here. I'm going to be interested in this next game with Boston and Miami. I'm going to be watching that. Shout out again to Golden State Warriors. Let me know how you guys are feeling about the playoffs. Let me know how you guys are feeling about, like we mentioned, Hunter and they're coming back. Are you guys excited? One Piece, what you guys are expecting. Let me know your theories and whatnot. I should have a theory podcast now that I think about it. I should do that with One Piece. I've heard a few, and I think I have a few that I can share with you guys. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. And thank you guys so much for listening, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much. And if you're having a bad day, I hope it gets better. Stay strong. Bye.